Today we will be discussing about technical proposal. This technical proposal means a lot in the life of an engineer because at every point, every now and then, an engineer is required to put forward a solution. So that solution becomes an idea. An idea is proposed to in a way that it gets approved and uh, it gets associated with a product, and that success of the product defines the relevance of that solution of presented by that engineer. So in this session, we will be looking at the definition of the project, of a proposal, elements, structures, parts of a proposal, types of a proposal, its significance, and how do we negotiate with it. So first definition, let's point out the main parts. Document that lists and defines the technical requirements of a contract or project and explains the approach and plan formulated to address them. Uh, Highlight the areas like defines, lists and defines the technical requirements of a contract or project. So first, there is some requirement. What is that requirement, and uh, how do we address to them in the way of a contract or a project that we undertake, and explains the approach and plan formulated to address them. And this is the second part. We try to explain and plan to solve that requirement, technical requirement. It has got six sections. First one is cover page, then executive summary, managerial section, technical section, financial section, and activities related to it. What are the objectives and what are the outcomes? So first look at the cover page. The cover page is the idea that we are putting forward to solve any problem. And why I'm focusing on problems all the time, that we do in executive summary. In the executive summary, there are two parts. One is problem statement. What is the problem? Why do we need to solve it? What is the problem that is that requires the attention of an engineer to put forward an idea? For example, I tell you one case that a company, old company, very old company, requires updates, requires some kind of automation, right? So as an engineer, you visit them, and then you look at the surroundings. What are the way of functioning? What are the things that they do? And then you come up with that problem. What actually is the problem? The problem is they have, in past 40-50 years, they have staked files. There are too many files, right? And to search one client, they require approximately 2 days, and that too is not very sure that they will get it. Why? Because that old file might be in the stake, in the whole mess, and kept in some room. Uh, might be ordered, might be in orderly situation, but then you do not know other than that, right? So you need to solve it. How do we solve it? We need to scan all the documents, and we need to put all the particular all the particular pages scanned under one certain folder. That certain folder will be named after the person or the client which whose file we scanned. Then that copy, that soft copy needs to be uploaded on the cloud server. Then one copy needs to be there with the manager or the CEO or the plant manager, general manager. Then one copy needs to be with the vendor as a safeguard. Then that is there. What about the files that we scanned? We need to put forward a mechanism under which they are stored. All the folders, all the files that we have scanned must be put under one folder. That folder must be put into a box. That box must be put on a rack. That rack must have some name, designation, path. So what are the systems? One folder, one file means one client. One folder means clients of similar nature. Then one rack means 1 year, or say 3 years, whatever year you try to define it, right? So that is the problem. How to store it, where to store it? Now you need one warehouse which can have a bigger area, which is termite proof, which is waterproof, which has got fire extinction system, which is guarded 24 cross 7, right? So all that, why do you require it? You required it because there was a problem in finding out one particular file immediately, or say in a very short span of time. Why do we require to find that out in short span of time? Then uh, if it is some legal one, then again it will be difficult for the whole system to find that immediately, right? So because of all those problems, you need a solution. You need a solution in the way of automation. But automation does not mean that you do not have the original proof, original data, right? You need to put forward uh, one idea, one solution. That is your need analysis. Then managerial section. Under this section, you have got plan of operations. How do you plan to move forward? How do you plan to uh, how do you plan to transform that manual searching to automated searching, right? Manual function, manual operation to automated operations. What is the standard operating procedure, that is called SOPs, right? Who are the key personnel? Personnel is the plural of persons employed. So who are the key personnel? Key personnel are like hierarchy. Who is the supervisor, who is the manager, who is the worker, who is who actually, right? How much manpower do you require, right? Then organizational capabilities and experiences comes under managerial section. Organizational capabilities and experiences means how much uh, capable you are, and how many years of experience do you have, right? Or you're not, do you have, it's about a company, it's about an organization that you represent, right? And then evaluation plan. What is the evaluation plan? How do you try to how will you evaluate all the stages? uh, every stage needs some time frame. So what is the time frame, and how do you propose to meet them? Then technical section. Technical section involves all the technical aspects that are used to solve that problem. Technical aspects like technical tools, technical expertise, uh, the case that we have taken up is from manual to automated one filing system, right? So in technical section, we will give the technical requirement that you will require at least say uh, five heavy duty scanner. Then you will require one at least five computers with some uh, specified processor, right? Then you will require some intranet connectivity or LAN connectivity. Then you will require some uh, CDs or DVDs or pen drives. You will require some uh, that cloud storage availabilities, right? So all those things come under technical section, right? Then comes financial section. Under financial section, you have to put forward all the budget that you have, that you require. What do you expect the company to pay you, that you are rendering your services to? And this financial section involves aspects like how much you are going to spend on technical parts, technical tools that you are going to use, then how much you are going to pay for the warehouse under in which you are going to you are going to store your uh, files. Then you have to decide the salary of the people that are employed there, because nobody is there to work for free, right? And then what are the surveillance things, security, right? How much do you want the security system to be robust or something? And then uh, uh, how much what should be the frequency of that security update, and how much that will cost you, right? So it is not done for immediate or in present, like we say live in present. So we do not have to live in present, we have to see future, right? And we have to see that as of now we are spending 10 rupees. So what after 5 years, what will be the inflation, what will be the expenditure growth? So in 5 years, so how much we are going to inflate our budget, right? So we have to look at that. And then it is not that we have to go for exact thing, right? If we uh, if we uh, go for exact budget, right? That I will be paying this much to this personnel, I will be paying that much for that particular tool, right? So what are you earning as an organization? Remember that the bottom line of any business is profit. So how are you planning to go for that profit? What is the way that you will come out with profit, right? And then what is the GST applied, or whatever service taxes are there, right? As of now, India has got GST, SGST, and CGST, right? So what is that GST applied for all that? Is that going to be a different, a separate column, or it is going to be a common for all, right? So what is the GST or tax applied on that final budget, right? So it is the final budget, the gross total or the grand total will be the addition of all the requirements that we have put forward in form of salary, in form of tools, in form of rent, in form of updates related to it, right? And then add that, then apply GST. Say services are there for 18% GST or 12% GST, right? So apply that total plus 12% of the total, right? When you add them, you will get that grand total, and that grand total you have to write in the end. So if you are asked in your exams regarding proposal, right, like write a proposal to update your PC lab, so you will require some computers, you will require some software, you will require some camera, you will require some projector, you will require a smart board, you will require a server, right? You will require AC, you will require fan, you will require light, you will require infrastructure that fixed infrastructure like table, chair, and all, right? You will require some rack, you will require some headphones. So what are the things that you are counting here? You have to, and then who will be training you, right? So count all of that, right? Add them, and then put that GST, the tax, and then that becomes your grand total. So in an exam, if you are asked to write a proposal for reestablishing or establishing or updating your communication lab, right? And if you do not write that financial section, and if you do not write that grand total, right? So it becomes it becomes nothing. Although the financial section is the last one, but we have got certain activities after that. We have to identify the objectives that we have to meet at each level, at each stage of that plan of operations, right? And that what are the outcomes, right? So in every time, every say weekly, fortnightly, monthly, you have to hold a meeting, and then you have to plan out, right? So it is something like sales. It is something like sales, that you are selling your idea in a technical way, right? Although sales letter, the purpose of sales letter is different, but it purpose of business proposal or technical proposal matches that sales letter. Then we have got three methodology for proposals: RFP, RFQ, and RFI. Let's explore them. What are they? RFP is a request for proposal. So request for proposal and RFP is a document that solicits proposal, that calls for proposal. Solicits means calls for proposal, often made through a bidding process. Bidding that is held through like you have got that bidding process in IPL, right? So that is the process that we have to go through. It is held by some agency or company interested in the procurement of the commodity, service, or valuable assets that is required for another organization. And its main principles are: informs suppliers that an organization is looking to procure and procure some commodity, and encourages them to make their best effort. It also requires the company to specify what it proposes to purchase, what it requires. The next thing is requires the company to specify what it proposes to purchase. There must be some specification into that purchase, because you cannot go on purchasing everything that you see, right? It has to be it has to be of some relevance. So if the requirements analysis has been prepared properly, it can be incorporated quite easily into the request document. Alerts suppliers that the selection process is competitive, allows for wide distribution and response, ensures that suppliers respond factually to the identified requirements. Right. So it is a place where, I mean, it is a process that involves many other organizations, and that many other organizations have got different goals. The next one is RFQ, request for quotation. It is a document used when discussion with bidders are not required, mainly when the specification of a product or service are already known, right? So it is already known, it is already out in the wind, that what is needed and what is required, right? That process is already done. And when price is the main or only factor in selecting the successful bidder, right? So specification is known, price is fixed. Price is the only factor that mainly the government organizations in India does do that they call for quotation, right? Like they have to buy 10 100 pieces, right? So they will ask for a quotation. They will give some specification like it has to be of Reynolds, or it has to be of Link or something, and we need 100 pen, and then out of 100 we require 50 black, 50 blue, or 50 blue, 50 red, or something like that, right? So that is one, that specification is fixed. And then when the vendors approach with pricing, right? So we require at least 3 quotations to process it. In government organizations in India, we require at least three proposals, 3 RFQs to process it, right? And whoever is the whoever has projected the lowest bid is selected. So that is the main purpose of RFQ. It is also used uh, prior to issuing a full-blown RFP to determine general price ranges, right? So it might be a tool to get an idea about the current market rates. RFI is a request for information. It is a proposal document requested from a potential seller or a service provider to determine what products and services are potentially available in the marketplace to meet a buyer's need, right? So like you buy a laptop, right? And then you have to get I mean you are given some warranty over it, like 3 years warranty. And then the seller says that 2 years extended warranty is available at a cost of say 1000 rupees. If you go for individual extension of warranty after 3 years, then you will have to give at least 800 rupees per year. But if you opt for that extended warranty for 2 years, you will have to pay 1000 rupees instead of 16 rupees, 1600 rupees, right? So that is the service that is extended by the seller, right? It is, and to know the capability of a seller in terms of offerings and strengths of the seller. So the bigger the company, the bigger the vendor, the bigger the offer. So it is used mainly, it is used on major procurements where and then where a requirement could potentially be met through several alternate means, right? So there is not one fixed way to attain that procurement, and it may or may not lead to an RFP or RFQ, right? It may lead RFI, like you get a list of service providers, right? And then if you want to go for RFP or RFQ, right? You have, your organization has to decide whether your organization wants to go through that bidding process or not, right? So that RFI is that. Then types. There are 4 types: internal, external, solicited, unsolicited. Let's check them out one by one. Internal, it is within the organization. It is within a fixed setup, right? And every organization has got multiple departments, like one is marketing, one is human resources, one is finance, one is IT, one is research and development, right? So from one department to another department, like from a research and development wing, you are working in a research and development wing, and you have to get some specific product, to use for say some uh, some of the research that you are undertaking, right? So what you will do, you will put forward a proposal to the purchase department, right? That you require, let's say you require some circuits, or you require some sort of cabling or something like that, and then the purchase department goes through that RFP, RFQ, or RFI, whatever suits the company or the product or whatever. So it is done between one department to another. It is usually informal, like uh, we have seen um, in um, in flow of communication, that horizontal flow is like between peer group, right? So one manager of research and development wing writes to another manager of purchase, right? And then during lunch they meet and then say, okay, let's go for it quickly because we require it, and like that, right? So it is usually informal, mostly an agreement for a certain number of support hours, right? So it is executed within a short span of time. Generally, doesn't involve upper management. It is done at lower management or mid-level management itself. It does not require that upper management approval all the time. Then external, it is sent outside the organization on company's behalf. That is what we discussed when we saw the case of, or discussed the case of um, automation of a company from manual to digital, right? So you have written a proposal on your company's behalf, and you have sent it to another organization. It is very formal and very rigorous. There is nothing called informality here. It has to be formal, and it has to be rigorous. It has to be well resourced. It has to be well written. It has to be well designed. It has to be well ordered. It has to in a way it has to in a way go for all the elements of communication that we have seen. It requires upper management approval because uh, finance is involved, right? So and then selling is involved, so upper management approval is required. Is formal, binding, and is a legal document. So once we have gone for that external proposal, it is a legal document. It has got all the terms and conditions involved, and it is binding to both the parties. It is not that one party will go for the terms and conditions, and other party will flout it, right? Solicited is a type of proposal that is advertised in the public domain. Advertised in the public domain, like we have got that in newspaper. You must have seen Niveda Amantran, right? Call for proposal. So call for interest, right? So that is advertised, right? Demanded by the customer. Normally, it is demanded by the customer. RFPs are submitted as per the timeline. It has a specific timeline, right? Because it is in public domain, so it has got specific timeline. Proposals are awarded after the evaluation of RFPs. So after proper evaluation of RFPs that we have submitted, the proposals are awarded. Unsolicited, it is not advertised in the public. RFPs are submitted randomly. There is no time limit. It is the unsolicited ones is to generate quick finance. Like your company requires very quick money. You are in urgent need, and you are in need. So you go for unsolicited proposals. The significance of a proposal: A proposal is a persuasive presentation for consideration of the following: merger, a bid, a research grant, and you can add to the list. But these are the major ones, right? Uh, it serves to it served to improve the prevalent working condition within the organization. Time and again, the conditions within an organization changes. So that also requires proposal. Can be made interdepartment. So again, the nature of that is completely dependent on organizational requirements. It is also to win financial returns to the organization. So any organization is a business, and any organization is a business, and every organization requires profit. That is the bottom line. So you have to go for financial returns. It relates to research activities, may play a significant role in individual as well as organizational progress, right? So uh, it, mean, like you are in BTech, and then wish to pursue some research, right? So what you do, you have to go for academic projects. Under academic projects, you have to put forward to the coordinator, sir, and then you have to get it approved. Then if your case is approved, if your project is approved, then you get funding. You might get funding, you might not get funding, right? But to get approval, you need to write one proposal under certain specific areas. uh, a proposal discusses the potential limitations of your proposed work. um, Vagueness has killed more proposal than any other flaws. Uh, let's discuss it. Proposal is one of the highest skills of communication, and in the world, approximately it is estimated that only 6% proposals are accepted worldwide. 94% fall flat. So if you are proposing something under your academic project and that is not getting approved, it means that you have failed to communicate your idea. If you communicate your idea, then your project will always be approved. And that is what is it is. Vagueness has killed more proposals than any other flaws. That is vagueness, not putting forward your uh, your communication upfront. It states what you are going to do if your approach doesn't work, and that refers to plan B. What is the plan B? Western agencies expect that research results obtained in funded projects will be shared freely and with other scientists to benefit the entire community. Uh, whether it is exercised in India, I do not know, but in Western European and American countries, research results are shared amongst uh, uh, among the same community, so that further research can be done. In India, I don't know whether it is shielded or not, but it is very much prevalent in Western agencies. The significance, that persuasiveness that we have talked about earlier as well. A proposal is not a scientific article. It is not a scientific report that we are writing. It is not an experimental report that we are writing. It is a very specific one. We have to address, we have to state a problem, we have to address the problem, we have to solve a problem. And how do we solve it? Through manpower, through SOPs, that is managerial section, through technical tools that we use, that is technical section. And then financial section, what are the finances involved? So it has got one format, yes, but it has got a very sales like approach. It's a sales document, right? It is not a scientific document. The best proposals, as Donna Dean has said, the best proposals have two things in common. They tackle timely scientific issues and present them forcefully. Review panels are bowled over by enthusiasm and clear thinking. So the second significance of a technical proposal is that it is a persuader. Uh, it persuades the client to take it up in such a way that it benefits both the parties. You must be amazed to know that the first persuader was not a businessman but a scientist. Nearly 2400 years ago, Aristotle articulated the principles of persuasive argument, that is, logos, ethos, and pathos. That is, effective persuaders base their argument on the fundamentals of logic, credibility, and enthusiasm. Logos refers to logic, ethos refers to credibility, and pathos refers to enthusiasm. And in the end, let it summarize and let's know in a nutshell what a proposal is. A proposal, to be a technical proposal, it must be clear, must have clarity over the purpose, must be organized, must follow all the sections of executive summary, technical section, managerial section, financial section, must be detailed. See, if the problem is not paid attention, enough attention and enough detailing, it will not appeal the client and the client will not take up any solution. So, it must be detailed, must be positive. The proposal must showcase the positive aspect of the solution and must showcase that the problem is actually solvable. And in the end, we can sum up with one of the quotes from Master Yoda from Star Wars. You all must be fan of Star Wars. So he said, "Do or do not. There is no try." Thank you.